Alright, good day YouTube, what's going on? Craig here once again. Welcome to my channel. In this series, I have recently started a new series on plane and solid geometry using the AutoCAD program, and so far I have done a video on setting up your layers and units. But first of all, before I begin, let me just apologize for the background noise. My laptop is just a bit loud, and I am using the onboard mic on my laptop, so it's picking up all of the sound that the fan and the processor and everything else is making from my laptop. So let me just apologize for that. So let's get right into it. For this video, as I look at basic geometry, I want to first of all let you know that I will be posting a link to a Google Drive folder which has the pages which I will be referring to in the following series. So in the description below, I will be posting that link, and you will be able to go to that link, and you can also download these files so that you can refer to them whilst you practice, or you can even share them with your friends. Those of you who are teachers, you can use it in your classroom. If you do not have the book Plane and Solid Geometry by Blanco and Blan, I believe the name of the authors are, and you can use these in your classroom for teaching purposes. Those of you who are students, you can also use it for your own practice. So in the previous video on units, I have already went through setting up your units by going to Drawing Utilities and then going to the units icon right here, and then the interface is going to pop up where you can actually set up your insertion scale, your length, and your precision, and also your angle properties. Alright, so we're not going to dwell on that too much. And what we also did was we were able to open the layer properties dialog page, or page basically, and we were able to create new layers, change the colors of the layers, and we also looked at how beneficial it can be to freeze and unfreeze your layers for basic or general purposes. Okay, we didn't go too much into the line weight and the line type. That we will touch on in another video, but for today's video we're going to go into basic geometry, and for that we are going to be referring to this folder I have right here. Well, this folder has all of the scans that I will be posting, or posting the link for my Google Drive, so you will have access to all of these files here. But I will show you what we are going to be referring to today. This is page 7 of the book that I mentioned earlier, Plane and Solid Geometry, book 1, and we are going to discover how we can do especially these two drawings, because it is a very common requirement to know how to bisect a line and also how to divide a line into equal parts. Alright, so let us get right into it. Okay, so since we are following this, we're going to use the measurements that are actually on the page. So we are first going to draw a line AB, which is equal to 71 millimeters long. Okay, so I click on line. Oops, before I do that I need to change my layer, so I press escape in order to cancel, and I will go to the construction lines layer. Alright, so most times you will be in this layer, especially if you are beginning a drawing and you are in the initial stages of setting up that drawing for your final product. So your construction lines layer is going to be a very common layer to be in, especially for the start. Alright, so we're going to go to a line and we are going to draw a line equal to 71 millimeters. So we simply click where we want to begin. In other drawings there may be a specific point that you want to draw that line from, but for our purposes we do not have a specific point, so we are simply going to click where we want to begin. So I clicked at a convenient location and I want that line to be a perfectly horizontal line. Now as you can see, I have a dotted line which is protruding from my perspective line, and that indicates what AutoCAD calls polar tracking. Now the polar tracking feature is right here. If you click on this drop down arrow, you will see a number of angles that you can automatically set AutoCAD to. Now it is currently set to 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 135 degrees and 180 degrees. So any line you draw, when you move your cursor, it's going to automatically snap at these respective angles. So we want a 180 degree line, which is a perfectly horizontal line, so we are going to leave it on this setting here. So as you can see, it automatically snaps. When I move up, it moves to 45. When I move to, well, further to the left, it moves to 90 degrees. I move further to the left, it moves to 135, further again to the left to 180. So it automatically snaps to these angles. I just thought I should mention that. Okay, so we want a perfectly horizontal line and we are going to type in the length that we want that line to be. So I will go ahead and type in my 71 units. Now remember, in the previous encounter we had already set up our units to millimeters, so we do not have to type mm. That is not necessary because AutoCAD already knows that it is in the millimeters unit, so we don't have to type in the units. All we have to do is just type in the number and AutoCAD will know automatically that it is in these units. So I've typed in my 71 millimeters and all I have to do is press enter on my keyboard. Now we have a bit of a problem here. The line has gone off the page and it is very simple to solve that problem. What I'm going to do, I'm going to press escape on my keyboard to cancel or to end the command, and I'm going to scroll my wheel downwards, and as you can see, the full line has come into view. The more I scroll, the smaller the line is going to become. So that is why it is a very good idea to have a mouse that has a scroll wheel on it, because it will be a very easy process to zoom in and to zoom out of your drawing. If you just have your touchpad on your laptop, it is going to be a bit of a challenge. It can still be done because you can use two fingers to zoom in and out. I'm actually doing it right now on my mouse pad. I have two fingers on my mouse pad, and when I move up it zooms out, when I move down it zooms in. Alright, so that is something that you should invest in, a mouse with a scroll wheel, especially if you want to get deep into AutoCAD. Alright, just thought I should mention that. Right, so as we continue, we already have our line. Okay, so going back to our instructions, it says using a compass, point at A and open to a distance greater than half AB. Alright, now that is for the traditional method, but since we are doing it in the AutoCAD method, we are going to be using different tools. All right, so what we need to do as much as possible is that we need to imitate the traditional method, and all of the tools that we need are right here. So since we want to do an arc, we have our tool right here which says arc. Now if we click on this drop down arrow, wow, you see all of these variations of arc commands that we can use. Right, so what we need to do is to explore which one is going to work for our purposes, or especially for this drawing. Now as time goes by, I'm going to be showing you what these different modes do, but because of time I'm just going to go into the specific mode that we are going to use for this drawing. Now for this drawing, what we need is this one right here, center, start, end. Now what this simply means is that you are going to tell AutoCAD the center that you want to scribe from, which is point A. Well, I haven't labeled the points yet, I will do that in a while. So you want this to be your center, you want your start to be somewhere up here because you are going to be scribing in this direction. If I go back to the drawing, you would see we have our point A and B, and we have an arc. We have two arcs above the line and two arcs below the line. Now from A, we are going to get this arc and this arc. From B, we are going to get this arc and this arc. Now when they intersect, that is going to be the point of our perpendicular bisector, which will pass through the point E and is going to indicate the center of that line. Okay, so let's go back to our AutoCAD drawing, and what I will do before I continue is just to label the points so that you will not be confused. Right, so this is my point A and this is my point B. So I am now going to go back to my construction lines layer, and I'm going to go down to my center, start, end variation of the arc command. So when we look to the command line, it's asking us to specify center point of arc. Now for our purposes, when we go back here, we would realize that the compass needs to be opened to a distance greater than half of AB. Okay, so this area is going to be around the midpoint. Now since we already know the total length of our line, we would know exactly where the center is, which would be 35 and a half to be exact, because 71 divided by 2 would be 35 and a half. So we already know where our center is going to be. So since we already know that, we are going to choose the length of the radius of the arc to a number which is greater than 35 and a half. So for our purposes, we're going to use 40. So we are going to specify our center, which is here, and we are going to stretch the line or the radius of the arc above the line that we are going to bisect. And what we are going to do is that we are going to type the radius that we want our arc to be, and that number is going to be 40 So as you can see in my command line, I have typed the number 40 and I'm going to press enter. When I move my cursor, you can already see that AutoCAD wants to draw the arc. Okay, now there are two different directions we can draw that arc. So as you can see in the command line, it says specify endpoint of arc or hold Control or CTRL to switch direction. So on our keyboard, we are going to hold down the Control key. I'm now pressing the Control key, and when I move my cursor, you can see the direction of my arc has changed. Okay, so when it is long enough, well, we don't want a specific length, but we can just draw the arc long enough so that the two of them will intersect. So when it is long enough for our desire, we are going to click our left mouse button, and we are left with a very nice arc. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to get our arc at the bottom, because remember, we need an arc we need an arc at the top and we need an arc at the bottom. So we're gonna go back and do the same thing on the bottom side. So we go to center, start, end. Once again, click on our center, stretch our line so that we can get our 40 millimeter radius. We type in 40, press enter, and the arc is already being formed. I press Control so that it can change the direction. When it is long enough, I can click. Okay, so we have our arc above and below the line, which is going to indicate where our bisector is going to be. So of course we are not finished yet, so we need the same thing we did on the side of A, we need to do at B. So we're going to go to our center, start, end command once again, click on B, stretch our line so that it is long enough to pass over the first arc that we drew. We type in our 40 millimeters, we press enter, and we can see the arc beginning to draw itself. So when it is long enough, we click, and we are now left with the intersection of the two arcs. Now we need to do the same thing at the bottom, center, start, end, click on B as the center point of the arc, stretch the radius so that we can type in our 40 millimeters, press enter, and our direction is being compromised, so we need to hold CTRL to switch direction, and there we have a nice arc being drawn. I clicked to end the command, and now I am left with two intersections. I'm going to name these intersections according to our demonstration. This one is going to be called C, and this one is going to be called D. So quickly, I'm just going to edit the text. This one is C and this one is D. So this intersection is going to be joined to this intersection. I'm going to go back to my construction lines. Well, actually it's not construction lines anymore, it's actually an object line, because that is the final product. I am looking to get my bisector, so it's going to be an object line. So I click on object lines, I initiate the line command, and I simply connect C to D. Press escape to close the command, and I am left with my line, which is divided into two equal parts. So just to confirm that, oh, I forgot one thing. I'm going to label this point here. This point here is going to be called E. Okay, so EB and EA are supposed to, since we have now bisected our line. So just to confirm that they are actually equal, I'm going to go to this command there which says measure distance, or measure gem. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but you get the point anyway. So I'm going to simply measure from E to B, then I'm going to also measure from E to A, and we are going to see whether we get our 35.5 millimeters. So I click on E, then I click on B, and we get 36. I'll explain why we got 36 in a while. Let's do that again. Click on distance. I click on E and A, and as we can see, I got 36 once again. So indeed we have done correctly. As you can see, EB is equal to AE. If we go back to our demonstration, we will see the demonstration here. AE is equal to EB. So that means we have done correctly. Now, let me explain why I got 36. If we go to our units page, you will see that my precision is set to 0. Okay, so that means every measurement that is going to be reflected in AutoCAD is going to be a whole number. Now, what were we supposed to get a while ago? We were supposed to get 35.5. Now that would have been 35.5. Now, as we know 35.5 is a decimal, and 35.5 is to one decimal place. So we would have gotten 35.5 if our precision was set to 0.0 or even 0.00, whatever other precision apart from 0. But because our precision is set to 0, we have gotten a result of 36 on both sides. That is rounded off. It is a rounded off number. 35.5 rounded off to the nearest 10 would be 36, or to the nearest 1 would be 36. So that is why we got 36 on this side and 36 on the other side. So that explains it. So that is how we bisect a line, imitating the traditional method in AutoCAD. Alright, so I hope you understand. If you don't understand, you can always post your questions in the comment section, and I will get back to that subsequently.